Welcome to Once Human. This video is a follow-up to my basics beginner guide where I kind of overviewed and showed what the game is about. But I had a lot of commenters that were really looking how to kind of just get into the game. So this video is going to be a lot less edited because I want to get it out as fast as possible to help new players. So after you've finished doing a bit of a tutorial, you'll be talking to Mitsuko and doing a bunch of other things storyline related. You're gonna have the door that you can walk through. Now, I actually can't even remember if you get a spawn point location choice right away or if it just sends you in. But if it does just send you in, it used to put us right around here, so that's where I'm gonna go. So as we fall, it's going to have a recommended landing location, but I'm going to kind of look at the map here with you and decide what we're going to do. So for you, the main storyline is probably not going to say welcome back. This is a character that has already existed and I'm just playing another scenario. So when you first landed, it doesn't really matter where you went. There is optimized ways that you can path, but I'm just going to show you, how to play the game normally. In fact, I'm even going to pretend that I'm a brand new player and I'm going to strip myself of most of my cosmetics. So let's start. We're going to set up a territory.
Nice work. We better gather some more.
Generally speaking, when you first set up your territory, I believe it'll actually look like this guy's over here, where it's going to have a platform and some other stuff like a securement unit, which you can put your deviations into. Mitsuko, I believe, gives you a butterfly deviation, but I'm just gonna pretend like I don't have anything right now, just to help you guys out. So first you'll want to gather logs by just hitting trees in the area. You can also grab some copper ore. There's also rocks and other things. Once you've gathered enough materials, you can enter your build mode in your territory. For PC, it is the B as in Bob button. And you just go in here, you can go to structures, frame, and then you have things like your foundations. You can go back into putting up walls and ceilings and other stuff. So feel free to build to your heart's content on that. I mean, you can get completely lost in building your base. I'm not going to worry about that right now because I just want to show you guys the basics of how to play the game on your first day. So at this point, it wants me to build a furnace. So we're going to go back into build mode, go to facilities and see what the furnace is. So the furnace here is locked, and when you click on it, it's going to say, would you like to unlock it? So I'm going to tell it not to remind me of this again because I don't want to have that keep popping up. But when you click the button, it's going to go into your Memetics tree and find that specific thing. Now, you'll see I have no ciphers. Ciphers are earned from leveling up, and then you can learn different things in your like memory tree here. Another way that you can get to this is you can either, for computer, you can hold tab. There's also a button on your screen for mobile, but you can go into your cradle, and in your cradle there is the Memetics right here to get into this screen. So because I haven't leveled up yet, I don't have any ciphers to actually learn anything. So to get some quick XP, I'm going to follow the journey. So if you go into the journey menu, on keyboard it's the J key, and on mobile there should be a symbol. Unfortunately, the mobile version hasn't launched yet, so I can't really show any of that just yet. But in here on the journey, you're going to see a bunch of different tasks and stuff that you can do to get XP and energy links and stuff like that. So like you can hit logs once, hit ores once, gather any crops and stuff, and it will always auto track the next thing, and it'll keep it in the top left of your screen out on the main UI. So we're just going to claim these, the ones that I've already done, and you can see that I got some energy links and some XP. And now that we've done that, we still aren't level 2, so I will be right back after I've followed the journey a little bit and gotten a level up so that I can continue. Alright, so I just hit level 2, and you can see I've obtained a cipher. So we're going to go in here, we're going to learn that furnace that it wanted. So then we're just going to place this furnace, and we're going to put in some wood to make some charcoal, which will then allow us to start smelting our copper ingots to use for a lot of other things. I'm going to have to go get some more wood because I'm all out. Charcoal is done, so now we're going to take that and we're going to turn that into copper ingots. We'll be right back as soon as that's done. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to build another foundation. Now, one thing, whenever you're in your build mode, there is a button for copying apart. That's how I did that really fast without having to go in and actually choose the structure. So next up, we want to make a disassembly bench. So luckily I still have enough ciphers for this. So early things on the Memetics tree, they only need ciphers, they don't need energy links, so you can generally learn them just from leveling up. So we're going to learn this one. And then we're going to place that disassembly bench here. Alright, so now that we have a disassembly bench, if you go and accept your journey that revolved around the disassembly bench, V should give you some of these materials. Basically, they're just random items that you can find in any of the settlements. So if I go to my map here, so any of these settlements, you can just walk around and find them. But I'm pretty sure that V, no matter whether you're a new player or a returning player, I'm pretty sure he gives you this stuff as long as you accept that journey quest. And then we're just going to click to disassemble them all. And this is where we're going to get our crafting components that are used to make just about everything. So these are all tier 1 materials. And again, we're going to go back into the journey. We're going to basically say, yep, okay, we did what you asked, V, and now we're level 3. So the next major step is that we need to unlock the primary supplies and the gear workbench. So we're going to go back into our cradle, go into the Memetics menu here, and under the second tab we have the primary supplies workbench. So we're going to learn that, and then the gear workbench. We're going to learn that. When you unlock the primary gear workbench, it's also going to teach you how to make the Desert Eagle 50 cal, as well as the baseball bat. So these blueprints and many others are going to help you basically get through the game. I'm going to have a full guide on blueprints, so we'll just stick to the basics today. As you can see, I need more logs for this, so I'm going to go get those and we'll be right back. Now, also just a reminder, if you're like me and you didn't build a pickaxe in the tutorial, you can always place down a tent. Mine's a special looking one just because I have some extra cosmetic stuff. We won't get into that though. And when you go in here, you can see that you can go to weapon crafting, armor crafting. These are the basic ones they show you in the tutorial, but you can also create a crude pickaxe in here. That's going to speed up your gathering a lot compared to just hitting things with a rock. Alright, so I've gathered enough materials now. We're going to place the primary supplies bench and the primary gear workbench. Oh, we'll put it like this. It's going to be very unorganized. Alright, the next task here is to make a weapon, so you most likely won't have access to all these guns that I have. This kind of comes down to your account progression, getting all these blueprints, so I believe you're just going to have this one here. We're going to craft it in tier 1 because those are just going to be the materials that you have, whether V gave them to you or you've explored a settlement nearby. We're just going to craft that. So now we have a handgun that we can use. And next up, we have to craft ammo for it. But as you can see in here, I don't know how to make ammo yet. So we're going to go back into our cradle, go to the Memetics, and we're going to learn how to make basic ammunition. Now back to the supplies workbench. We can now make popper pistol ammo. Now again, V tends to give you supplies during your journey in your basics tutorial. But if he doesn't, you can always go and gather this stuff or craft the gunpowder from different resources like sulfur, charcoal, and acid. Acid generally comes from killing deviated enemies, which are like the zombie guys. So I'm just gonna make a ton of pistol ammo here with what they gave me. So while my pistol ammo is crafting, I'm just gonna kind of show you some brief things. So if you're used to other survival games, a lot of the times things like ores, they tend to spawn in very specific locations in high density. Once humans not really like that. They kind of have an even spread around the whole map, so you don't have to worry about like going too far to get your resources. But if you scroll out here, you'll see these areas are in different sections. So Dayton Wetlands is kind of like your tier 1 zone. It's like level 1 to 10. Broken Delta is tier 2. Iron River is tier 3. Chalk Peak unlocks in phase 2 and is your tier 4 area. And then Red Sands and Blackheart, the entire northern side of the map here, that's all like tier 5 in the end game. So we're mostly just going to be hanging out in this area for now. But if you are looking for areas that have like more high density amounts of ores, which again, you really don't have to go out of your way, there is a stretch of it in here underneath this monolith place. And then if you're looking for sulfur in mass, sulfur, seaweed, and shellfish tend to spawn quite often on the beaches. So you can kind of go down there and get a bunch of that. But again, I probably wouldn't worry about that on your first day. I would probably just, make sure there's a little bit of ore wherever you've kind of started, or at least, not too far of a walk. So our pistol ammo is done now, so we're gonna pick that up. My main quest is now telling me to teleport to the first town, Deadsville. So always just make sure to follow the main storyline and the journey tasks, and that'll help you progress without having too many problems. So I've arrived at Deadsville. I'm gonna do some of the main story stuff, but I'm gonna kind of skip through it. You know, you should follow your main story on your own, and you know, you'll get to work with the lovely Mary and Claire over there. So I'm not really gonna show much of that.
One key NPC that you're going to want to talk to in here is Larry Duvall. He has these commissions that basically every real life week you'll get another set of them, so every 7 days or so. And all it is basically a task to do things that you're pretty much already doing, and they give you a massive amount of energy links, which is the currency to buy things from vendors, and a lot of XP. You can choose 5 of them, and you can even hit the little refresh button to change them out in case they're ones that you don't want to do. Now that I've talked to everybody in Deadsville here, Mary is offering her motorcycle to me. Now, in the original storyline, you know, in the long ago when I first started playing this game, they required you to go and unlock multiple anchors. So it was 4 of them. I don't know if that's still the same thing and they're just giving me a different version of the story because I'm a repeat player, but you may have to go do that first. But it's also possible that they may have changed and updated how the storyline works to just make it a bit easier. So you pick up your motorcycle, and now we're able to put it down and be a lot more mobile now. So again, we're just gonna follow the main storyline marker, the yellow stuff. So I'm just gonna stop here real quick, and you'll notice that my food and water have gotten really low. That means like you can't really sprint very well, you're gonna have reduced maxed HP and all kinds of stuff. So when you're traveling throughout the world, you can find stuff like corn or berries and stuff like that. Now you can eat these things raw, and they'll give you a little bit of energy, hydration, stuff like that. But what I highly recommend is you can place your tent, and then you can craft in here. So you can like take basic foods like berries here, so we can cook a roasted one, which will give me a lot more food or energy, and then we can also turn it into a juice, which gives us a lot more hydration. So it's just way more efficient to actually have like processed foods. So we're just gonna drink that up real quick, and we're gonna eat that. So now my character's feeling a little bit better, but we're still not really maxed out. So I kind of want something of more sustenance than just, you know, a berry. So we're gonna have a quick look here and see if there's anything that I might be able to eat better. So we got like corn, and we also have water. So we can collect water here. So now that we have some dirty water, I also noticed there seems to be a deer over there. So we're just gonna get some meat. Hopefully you're not a vegetarian because, well, I just did what I did. Now that we have some better food materials, we are going to have to go into our cradle again. We're going to have to go into the Memetics. And over on this one here, the logistics, we can add in stoves here, which gives us a bunch more recipes. And if we go to dishes 1, that's where we can now start to learn how to cook meat. Converted that dirty water into clean water and cook some meat. So now we should be able to fill up a lot more. And now we're feeling a lot better. Alright, so we've just about reached Throughville here, which is the first place they want me to stop, and I kind of noticed there's another person here that has placed their territory there. Now, if I look at my map, my territory is way over here. I could run over there and, you know, do stuff from my territory, or I can hit B as in Bob, and then Z as in zebra, I guess? And I can actually move my territory here. So you can see whenever we're trying to move our territory, if it is beside another person's territory, it'll nicely snap it together. So we're just gonna become this person's neighbor, and you can do this every 10 minutes. So like and there's no like cost associated, so it's pretty easy to do. I guess I'm now like a swamp dweller. That's fun. So before I go into Throughville, I do think that I should probably put on some pants. So we're gonna take that hide that I got from the deer, and I'm just gonna go in here and hit craft. We're gonna go to pants. Now again, all of these things are unlocked on my account because I've been playing for a very long time. You're probably gonna be more like rustic pants.
So you can see we need some more deer hide and some fabrics and stuff that I actually don't have. So that means I actually will be going into that town without pants because I need some of these materials from that town. As I go in here, you'll see on the top left a purple kind of looking icon is going to pop up. Now these are essentially your quests for this area, this settlement specifically. So you can do these specific quests and you'll get additional rewards for having completed them. So as I'm entering here, I am noticing there's a very shiny blue box over here. This is a storage crate. So when you walk up and you open this, you're going to get a little bit of supplies based on what the storage crate is. So this one here is like a supplies crate that has gunpowder and activators. Activators are used kind of like a potion for other games where it's just like a quick heal. So I'll show you those real quick. Hi buddy, you look really gross. Okay, so you hit me, now I can use an activator, and that's going to heal me. Now we're not going to let that happen again because that's just embarrassing. So you'll be able to take down any deviants in the area. They'll give you XP, they'll give you items, and they'll also, you know, by not being alive, they won't hurt you anymore. So you'll be able to see whenever you're running around in the area, there's random stuff on the ground, like footballs and other things. You can basically hit a button to pick them up, or if you're on the mobile version, and even on the PC version, there is an option in the settings. Under gameplay, control, there is this auto take button. So if you turn that on, your character will just automatically suck up the random items that are on the ground, and I believe it might be default on mobile. So we're going to climb this ladder real quick, and this here is what is known as an anchor. So this is basically going to anchor reality a little bit more in this area, and you're going to get a little bit of rewards there, and that's kind of just one of our main tasks per settlement. Next up, it wants us to find the mystical crate and weapon and armor crates. To help me do that, on PC you have an ability where you can hit Q, and it's going to snap your fingers and locate nearby special crates and stuff. There's also a button for it on your screen for mobile. I believe it's in the bottom right. So now I can find supplies easier. There's some of the supplies that I need to be able to make that armor, getting a set of pants that I was talking about. And we're going to keep moving on here, and we're going to just try to use the Q snap, find spatial distortion, and you can see over here there is a weapons crate. So this here is what a weapons crate looks like. We're gonna deal with Jim Bob over here before he hurts us while I'm trying to have a conversation with you. So the weapon crate, whenever you open these, they're going to give you random weapons that are not bound to your character. So essentially once they break, you can't use them anymore. But you'll also see other things like weapon mod parts and random ammo, stuff like that. But this one here is the Zeno Purifier. So you have a chance whenever you open a weapon crate to get the Zeno Purifier deviation. And we'll cover that when we get back to our camp. And then we're going to take this ladder real quick just to keep following the main story. In fact, the main story actually wanted us to open a
Time to grab some loot.
weapon crate, and it's also showing me where the mystic crate is. So I don't think this crate is usually here outside of the story. Yeah, it's just giving me a bunch of ammo and stuff.
These will help a lot.
Neither did I, V. Neither did I.
There should be more.
So now, as the camera kind of showed, I have to get to that crate over there. That's the mystical crate. So you may have noticed that lunacy popped up, and suddenly the lighting has gotten all red and everything has become way more aggressive. So what that is at 9 o'clock in game, if you are on a Lunar Oracle server, which is a hard mode one, so this is not in the novice or the normal servers, this is specifically in the Lunar Oracle servers only. At nighttime, everything gets all real spooky and angry at you, so you just got to be a lot more careful at nighttime. And again, I don't really recommend starting with Lunar servers if you're brand new to the genre, but if you want a challenge, you can definitely deal with Lunar. One thing though is it will start rapidly draining your sanity, as you can see down in the bottom. So my character's kind of going a little bit nuts here, and it reduces your maximum health, which is very dangerous whenever you have all these deviants that really want to eat you. So we've reached the mystical crate here. We're going to open that up, and it's going to complete this. So for me, I've opened this crate before. We're going to get an asterism crate, which is explained entirely in another video. We don't need to get into that right now. But for you, if this is the first time you've opened this crate, you're going to get a blueprint. Blueprints for your weapons and armor that you can basically craft different stuff. So feel free to utilize that. Now, there's also this funky door. If we go through it, it's going to teleport us up to the top of this place. And we're going to find these cool things that are like puzzles. So this puzzle here is about strange doors, and you can talk to this dude. And if you hit Q and go into your spatial thing, you can also see these experiment logs. The experiment log is going to give you clues. So we'll just kind of look at this real quick, and it's going to say something about following the rules. Blue door is safe. Kind of do a puzzle, and I'm just going to go through the blue one, and then I'm going to go through the orange one maybe. Nope, I'm wrong. So you'll want to look at those clues and figure it out, and then you'll get some extra rewards. So you can find puzzles like this throughout the entire map. So I'll let you experience that on your own, but also just because I'm bad at puzzles. So let's continue with the main story here. We're going to look for the clues. And as you can see with Lunar Oracle, I've got much more difficult enemies that you'll probably won't run into a Luminara if you're playing on a novice server. So as you can see, this is what happens when you get downed. You will have the ability to use an adrenaline shot if you have any, or you can give up. If you give up, it's going to send you back to your territory or a camp. So we're actually going to show that. We're going to give up here. And you black out, and you actually drop some of your resources. You can come recover that by picking up your flower in your body. Alright, so we're gonna try this again. We're gonna do the Q snap. We're gonna see like an after image, and a bunch of stuff's gonna happen. I'll let you guys deal with that on your version. Alright, so we finally finished that settlement, and we've managed to get out with some supplies. They want us to go to Rotten Manor next, which is another settlement over there. But I would really like to make those pants now. So we're gonna go to the disassembly bench. Here's all the random stuff that we picked up. We're just gonna disassemble it for components, and hopefully we have enough now for some pants. Alright, we've got some pants, and again, I'm gonna make pants that are similar to what you guys will have access to. And there we go. I have pants! So before we continue with following the storyline here, I will point out that we've reached level 5. When you get level 5, if you go into your Memetics Cradle, go to Memetics, up at the top left here, you have what's called a specialization. Now if you click on this, you'll see that every 5 levels, you'll unlock a randomized specialization. So when we click here, it's going to give us 4 random options that we can then use to enhance our character for this specific scenario. So these are randomized between a pool. So level 5, 10, and 15 are from the same pool. Level 20, 25, 30, 35 are all a secondary pool, and then the final pool is between 40, 45, and 50. So that means that at level 10, I could potentially get, say, the gardening gloves. But if you already have them here, it won't be able to select it. So there is kind of a veteran technique that you can do where rather than choosing them right away, you can wait until level 15, and what that'll do is, like, let's say there's only one thing in here that you really wanted in the first set. The other 3 won't be able to appear again in the level 10 or 15 slots, but for now, as a brand new player, I would say just pick them as you go. So these specializations can drastically help with your gameplay, and things like, say, the gardening gloves or the load handling backpack, these are items that you can actually craft and provide to other players. So if you're playing with your friends, let's say you both are able to get load handling and gardening gloves at level 5, you can each choose a different one and then share them so that you both get the benefits. And this is where hives come in. So for me, I usually always hit U on PC, which brings up this menu. It's actually your team menu, but I'm also going to go to hive here. So you can either create a hive or find a hive. So once you've created a hive, this is kind of like your little friend group, and you can add in all your direct friends. You can have up to, it depends on the scenario. On Manibus and Evolution's Call, I believe it is 16 now. I think they increased it to that. And that allows you to teleport to each other's territories for one, which is a big thing. But then you can also, quick invite each other and stuff like that. So after you've chosen your specialization, again, let's continue with the main story. But for the sake of not making a really long video, this is going to make us go through a bunch of different towns and stuff. So you can do that on your own, and I'm going to skip ahead until it gets to the point where it wants us to go to this monolith, where we're going to have our first boss fight. So before we go into the monolith, I've decided to move my territory here where it's kind of overlooking it. So one thing you can do early game to deal with sanity is you can go into furniture, lifestyle items, and then you can craft a bed. So these ones here I've unlocked from, playing through the game, but we're going to go with the regular one here. Well, we could if I didn't neglect getting more logs. All right, so we're back with enough wood. We'll build a bed here. Now, one thing to understand, because I have to keep going and gathering things. So if you go to your infrastructure in your Memetics here, you can unlock things like copper pickaxes and bronze pickaxes. And the further down you go, you're going to need higher tier ores and stuff. But each version of the pickaxe not only allows you to gather more advanced materials, but it also gives you a lot more materials. So like if I were hitting these trees with a copper pickaxe, I would get a lot more per swing than I do with the rock. So you may want to invest your time into that, especially if you're this far into the game so far. You could probably go and find, tin and get some bronze ore and stuff like that. The reason that we made a bed here was to attempt to restore sanity. I can't really seem to lay down here just because probably the lack of foundation, so we're just gonna move it over here. There, now we can use it. So you can see that you'll slowly restore your sanity. Now another option to restore sanity is to make things that have sanity restoring properties. So like you can create a kitchen and then you can craft tea, and there's different things like cone flower. It's a little orange flower that you can find out in the wild, usually more in the tier 2 area. So the tier 1 area you might have to suffer a little bit, but it will drastically restore your sanity. And again, before we continue, another thing I want to go over, which the tutorial should have already gave you one. If we make a securement unit, we can put in one of those deviations that we got earlier. So this is going to be able to help me in combat so that, I have a buddy to help me out. And there are so many deviations in this game. This one's a combat one, but there's also gathering and crafting ones. So there's things like the buzzy bee, which you can find over near farms. There's the logging beaver or the dig bee. Like your first tin ore that you break open, it'll get you a dig bee. You can actually see a golden dig bee is over there mining away, trying to help that player get some passive resource gains. So there's a lot of different deviations, and I'll be making multiple guides that will cover where to get every single one and what they all do, but that's a little bit advanced for this video. Now, if you've been driving around like a maniac, you can always hit up car trunks, and they usually have portable gas. You can use that to refuel your bike and keep going. Alright, so now we're at our first monolith. Generally speaking, monoliths usually have a lot more enemies and are a little bit more difficult to traverse, but we can grab things with our meta powers to throw explosive barrels, or, this zombie, he's apparently holding a gun. He's still got the reflexes. Oh, and we're getting a little bit swarmed. So this is where we're going to call out that deviation, and he's going to help us out. The Zeno allows you to teleport whenever you're meleeing, so it's actually a really cool one, especially if you like the melee combat style. Now, you may come across these kind of guys. These are known as elites, so they're basically much more powerful enemies, and you'll actually see on the purple task bar up there, defeating an elite is one of the things I have to do. And don't get hit by his shoulder tackle because it hurts, especially when all you're really wearing is pants. If you want to take less damage and also be more resistant to things like sanity drains, you will want to craft a full set of armor and make sure that you're increasing the tiers as you go. Mary, you're in the way. Uh-oh. See, Mary, you almost got me killed there. Ow. Okay, she did get me killed there. That's unfortunate. And this is why you're going to want to make sure you either have a territory or your camp nearby so that you can revive and come back quickly. Alright, so I decided not to fight that elite, and I'm just going to kind of blow past everything and, we're going to go up here and show you teleport towers. So around the map, you'll find these teleportation towers. They'll have an indicator that's in red, and whenever you come up and touch them, you'll sync with them and it'll become blue. And what that is you can teleport from here to other teleport towers around the map, and you can teleport from your territory to a teleport tower at any time. You're going to want to unlock every single one of these that you can find, that way you can traverse the map easily. Now, we've come up on another elite here. I totally managed to beat the other one, and I just didn't show it. But this one's a little bit more unique. So you can see on him, he has these 3 little pustules, one on each leg, or 2 on the one leg and 1 on this leg. And if we shoot him in what you would think would be the head, he's actually armored. So what you have to do for this guy's called a glutton. He's also spitting stuff on the ground that hurts. So we have to actually shoot him in those weak points. And you can see I can break the weak point. He's going to shoot some little projectiles and stuff. He actually wants to come up here now. And we're just going to summon our deviant to help us, or our deviation to help us. That's a deviant. Our ally is a deviation. And we just want to break those pustules. And now that we've broken all of them, he's going to fall to the ground, and he's going to open up his weak point in his face. So now if we shoot there, we can do lots of damage. So you'll find a lot of enemies in this game that have things like that, where there's special mechanics that you can take advantage of to basically win a lot easier. Next up, we're entering the monolith here, and every monolith is basically it's basically where you're gonna do a boss fight. You can see at the bottom at my health bar, I'm slowly losing my sanity. It's because the monolith, the bosses, they're called the Great Ones, and essentially they're just polluting the area, and it really ruins your day. So again, you're really going to want to make better gear than what I'm wearing so that you resist sanity loss a lot more and have higher health and everything like that. It's going to be the final thing that I do for this basics tutorial because, I want you to experience the game on your own, but I will show you some of the mechanics of this boss. I'm going to skip the cutscene though. I'll let you enjoy it on your own. But here's the Ravenous Hunter. So this is an instanced area. If you have friends, you can join... Man, I'm trying to talk here. Why do you gotta be so loud? If you have friends, you can join a team up to 4 people to fight this thing together. Now, he has a minigun attached to him, so you can break that by just shooting it specifically. And hide behind cover whenever he's shooting. Kind of does phases where he's shooting like that. You'll want to dodge things, so as you do as much damage like that, you'll end up breaking his gun off, and then you can actually pick it up and use it against him. So these are the kind of really fun mechanics that Once Human has with its boss fights, and now he's going to go immune, he's going to go up there and have a second phase. So he's going to spawn in these little sacks over here, and you have to break them to basically get him through his immunity phase. I think having shown you this much is, it's a good start, but I don't want to ruin the game by playing it for you. So I'm just going to hide from the boss here while we kind of wrap up the video. So hopefully you enjoyed, your first day with me on the server, and hopefully this kind of helped you figure out all the basics. I'll have more basic tutorials as well as many advanced tutorials coming on the channel, and I always do weekly news and updates as well, so make sure you come and check that out. And join in on the comments down below and let me know if there's any other sorts of guides you want to see. And then I'm gonna go deal with this guy, and it's gonna be a bad time, I guess. God, oh no, oh jeez. I will definitely win, off camera.